Hi, so today I thought I'd explain a bit about point shoe padding. There are lots of different things available on the market, so we'll go through what we use in the shop here. The first one is a fabric pad. This, I don't know if you can see, there's gel inside the fabric, top and bottom, so it's the same thickness on either side of the pad. The toes go fully inside the pad and then inside the shoe. These can be worn under your tights or over your tights, entirely up to you. They are quite bulky, so if you're in a very hard shoe, you may find that this is, giving you the right amount of comfort, but it may change the size of the shoe as well. So be careful if you've not had these fitted with your point shoes. So this is the Russian point toe pad. We've then got an alternative that has the same idea, gel in the top inside the fabric, but if you can see here, it's just a thin fabric underneath. You don't actually need any padding underneath the ball of the foot because you've got the padding of your toes. So this just enables you to feel the floor a bit more. This is the Tonju pad. The block pad or one of the block pads is also designed like this, as is one of the Bunhex ones. Then you could try a gel toe pad. These have evolved over the years. They used to be very rigid, the gel, and you couldn't do much with it. But now you can get these stretchy gels, which literally stretch to where you need them. When you're on point, what should happen is the shoe grips you very tightly here, so it should feel very snug around that part of the foot. Sometimes you'll find these fabric pads stop just short of where you need the padding. It's usually on your big toe knuckle here and on your little toe knuckle. And if you've got quite tapered toes, you may find that your knuckle's sticking out of the pad, in which case something like this that can be stretched up the side of your foot helps. Another thing to remember is with the pads, although the fabric ones are symmetrical, put it on at a slight angle, and then you may find that it covers your little toe a little bit more than if you just put it on in parallel. So we've got these Diani Dance stretchy gel pads. They have holes underneath which help the feet to breathe, and the gel's also a little bit thinner underneath, so you've not got so much bulk inside the shoe. These are best worn under the tights. When you try and put your shoe on, if you've got them over the tights, the gel can grip the shoe and it makes it harder to get the shoe on. Another gel pad are these things. These are amazing. From Ballet Rocks, these are called toe pops. And if you could smell them, you would see that, or smell that this one is kiwi, the green, and the pink is strawberry. The gel pads can be washed, all the pads can be washed, but don't worry about the smell disappearing when you wash these, because it doesn't, it stays inside the gel. So, next style of pad we have are these lovely soft things, just like lamb's fur, but it's not, it's man-made fabric, and these are called pillows for point. They come in 3 sizes and in a little bag like this. They look quite fluffy, but once you've started wearing them, they do flatten down inside the shoe and don't take up much room. So that's the lamb's curl pillows for point. Then we've got the Intermezzo foam toe pads. These are a good idea too, because the foam is very squishy, so it squishes down to virtually nothing, but just gives you enough comfort. And you can also cut this. In fact, you can also cut the gels down if you find they come up too high. So you can customise these to suit the shape of your foot and indeed the shape of your shoe, so you don't end up with a bit of pad hanging over the top, which is never a good look. Next pads we have are these Alpaca pads. Now, alpaca wool has a higher wick value than lamb's wool, so it absorbs the moisture, all the sweat from your feet. it soaks into the pad and takes it away from your toes, which lessens the chance of you getting blisters. Again, the smell is lovely in these. These are from Ballet Rocks. We've got, this one is grape scent. They also come in cotton candy and one other, which I've forgotten about, but they're on the website. So this is the purple one, bubblegum, that's the other one. And again, they squish down, once they're in the shoe, they squish down quite nicely, and the seams open up to be nice and flat in the shoe. That is the Alpaca pads. Then, if you don't want a full pad, you can use this alpaca wool. Again, you can use this around individual toes. I tend to wrap it round just in a figure of 8 around toes. I don't know if you can see if that was my toes, like that. So it just cushions the knuckles there where you can get rubbing. Every so often you'll just need to fluff this up a bit and go again. Sometimes it's the side, you need to put it just down the side of the shoe. Sometimes just some pop down at the bottom there so your toes can just feel that cushion as they go in, that helps. So the alpaca wool, again, this comes in various different flavours, or there's just traditional lamb's wool. We sell that in a pack as well. Again, it's not quite as fluffy as the alpaca, it's not quite as soft, and it doesn't absorb the moisture as much, but it's still a good staple to have in your dance bag. So we've done wool and pads. We've then got, let's look at some shoes. The Grishko shoes, this particular style is the Nova. Some shoes don't have any padding in, this one doesn't. It's just the box, which is made hard with layers of glue. And just fabric, so this will soften over time. You can pad shoes using a box liner like this. Well, this is actually again a Minden instant wing. This lies just inside the shoe. I've got the right size. Yep. I don't know if you can see what this is doing. It's giving a supportive wing there, which helps as the shoe breaks down. It can give you a little bit more support, and to start with it gives you some more cushioning as you're breaking the shoe in, so it just lines the inside of the shoe. This one, it's just a little bit at the end there, I don't know if you can see, it's just rumpling. So if I was going to use this in this shoe, I'll just take a pair of scissors and just cut that edge off. So it's entirely customizable to your shoes. So that's the instant wings. Again, I'll also do a fitting kit, Totally Toes. That comes with a smaller box liner, which just goes inside the shoe, if you can see there, and just lines the top of the shoe. Little mushroom, little gel oval, and a gel semicircle. It does come with a guide that explains what each of the things are for. These cushioning at the end of the shoe. The semicircle is handy if you've got a second toe that's longer than your first toe, and then you can just let your little toe, can you see that? Your second toe, sorry, it sits just inside that semicircle. So you're trying to make an even surface inside the shoe. Another thing you can do, sometimes you'll find the crown of the shoe, so that's the depth top to bottom, you may have a shallow foot that sits lower in the shoe. You want the shoe to become part of your foot, so you want it to fit nicely all around your toes, so your toes are straight and flat in the shoes, not crossed over, not with lots of room around, because you'll get friction blisters then. Certainly not crumpled down like that in the shoe, you need to be held there. So if you're finding there's a little gap at the top there, you may want to try something like a shoe liner and just pop that inside the shoe It's nice and soft, so it's a bit of cushioning, but it's also lifting your foot slightly in the shoe. Then let's look at this shoe. This is the Merle Chloe. The Diva and the Chloe have a little bit of padding in them. I have got one that I took out somewhere. In the bottom of the shoe, don't know if you can see on the camera, there's a piece of gel in the end there. Gel. Right, let me take this one out. It is removable if you don't like the feel of it, so if you just bear with me. There we go. That's the wedge of gel. So your toes will just sit against that gel. Some people don't like the feeling of that, so it is removable in the Divas and the Chloes. There it is. The block shoes, the Balance European, not all of them have pads in them. The Balance European has this piece of foam sitting in the bottom. It's stuck in when you get the shoe, so if you want to take it out you have to pick it out. It doesn't come out as easily as the gel bit did out of the Chloe. I know some styles, block are not sticking this in, so the Grace, it doesn't come stuck in, you stick it in if you want it, which is good. I think it's good to have that choice. Then, as far as padding goes in shoes, the FR Duvals have effectively a box liner already in the shoe. That gives the shoe, it's a squarer box than others, but because you've got that padding, you don't always need more padding on your feet, and the squarer box gives you a nicer large platform to balance on. Another shoe that has the same sort of thing is the Gainers. This has lining inside the box at the front here, and also a little bit of a cushion at the bottom where your toes sit inside the shoes. So you may not, again, want as much padding in that style of shoe. So you've got your padding options, either add to the shoe or use what's already in the shoe. Then for fitting, you can lift the shoe up with a shoe liner. You may also want to try something like this, which is a heel grip. It's adhesive, so you just peel this off and stick it inside the shoe. And it also has a little sponge bit for the heel to sit on. Again, if you've got disappearing heels, narrow heels, and you find it hard to keep the back of the shoe on, this can be a great help. So you've started dancing, you've got a few sore bits on your toes maybe, or bits that don't feel quite right. You could try gel toe tips. These go on your big toe and make a big difference to the way the shoe feels. We've got them for big toes, smaller ones obviously for little toes. The other good thing you can do with these is use them to help those joints we were talking about earlier, the little toe joints and the big toe joints. Just by cutting part way down, that will then sit. It's hard to show without a toe, but if you can imagine that's on your little toe, the slit goes to the inside so that that bit can then go around your joint. So that would be the end of my toe, and that's around the joint. And the same with the big toe. So they're available in the silicone. We also do them in fabric. So you've got the big ones, medium and small. These can be cut down to size. Not everybody's toes are that length. What I would suggest you do actually is when you get these, if you chop it off to the length that you need, keep the little bit that you cut off, because you'll end up with something like this. That can then be kept in your dance bag, and you can then push that onto one of your other toes if you feel the knuckle is rubbing. Okay, so they're useful, don't throw them away. Still with the fabric gels, what you can do, like we did with the silicone one, is just cut down the side of it and then use that again. Imagine this is my big toe or my little toe. I then got this up the side of my foot, that would be where my toe ends, and you've got that cushioning just on that side joint there. We also do the same fabric gel in just a strip, so you can then cut it up into little pieces and put on your toes. And we also have these bunion busters, which are ingenious. This is my big toe. Actually no, we'll have, this is my big toe, this is my second toe. This then goes over your big toe. This part covers the bunion joint, and this sits in between the toes. That's the end of my toes there, so you can see that's nice and comforting on that joint just there. We also have these tiny little gels that sit in the bottom of the shoes. These are the Gushko ones. It's a silicone gel, and it's just a bit of comfort at the end where your toes are. Then we have this toe wrap. Gain Minden it's micropore foam. So it's a tape, but it's not micropore tape, it's actually spongy, so it's squidgy. So this is great, you can wrap around individual toes, or if you have spaces in between your toes, usually if you have it's between your big toe and your first toe, the big toe is going to want to bend round to fill that gap if you're in a confined space in a shoe. If this is happening in the shoe and this big toe is being kept in a bent position, it's going to put strain on that joint, that bunion joint. So you need to try and keep your toes straight and flat in the shoes. And you may find that in order to do that, you need a toe spacer. These I find are the best type of spacers. They come in 3 sizes depending on your toe length or which toe you're having in between. But they're just thin enough to, looks like that, just slot in between your toes and then just keep that toe bone straight and stop it from bending round. You can get other styles. If I put any others, you can get there we go. Ones like this. But these are quite clumpy, and I do find sometimes that they push the toe too much the other way. So, or if you've got a space, imagine this is my big toe, my first toe. If you've got a space in between the toe, you want to keep the toe how it naturally sits. You don't want to be pushing it too much that way or too much, let it go too much that way. So you want something just in the middle. You can double up with these, so you can have them like that if you've got a really big gap, but one's usually more than sufficient. So you can use the tape around your toes to keep these in place if you find they move. Generally, once you've got them on and you've got your tights over the top, they stay in place. So if you've got the start of a blister or a sore part on a toe, it's far easier to stop it developing into a blister than it is to manage the blister after it's formed. So to that end, you need to try this. This is Dancer's Dots. It's a hydrogel. Comes in a pack or a jar. If you get the pack, you need to make sure you close it very firmly, because it's a slightly moist gel. I don't think you're going to be able to see the water effect. It's not sticky, but it sticks to your skin. It's lovely stuff. So you can put it on your joint or the part of your foot that's feeling sore. You don't need to tape it in place. I would advise you do. Use thin micropore tape, or you can use a foam tape on top. But it's got a cooling effect, and it just feels lovely. So they're dancer's dots, definitely something to keep in your bag. Right, I don't think there's anything else. Oh, one last thing, vamp elastic. If you find you're bulging out of your shoe, assuming you're in the correct shoe, but if you find that you just need that extra bit of support, maybe the vamp isn't quite long enough, you can use the vamp elastic inside the shoe. Either stitched across there like that, or you can do it in a V like that. That's very useful as well. I think the only thing left to say is maybe some advice on your ribbons. Ribbon is woven, so there's no stretch in it, and you're stitching it at one end and you're knotting it at the other end, and then you're trying to move your foot. Obviously articulation of your foot is going to make the shoe want to move. To ensure your heels stay on the back of your feet, you need to tie the ribbons tightly, and you may end up with it digging in at the back of your Achilles. So having this type of ribbon with a piece of elastic inserted into it, sitting at the back of your heel, just gives you that little bit of comfort. So this crosses over, and then that is then at the back of your heel. That makes sense. When you get the ribbon, it comes in 4 pieces. This is the Gain Minden TLC ribbon. 4 pieces, and this side is slightly longer in the ribbon than this side, and it's the slightly shorter side that you attach to the shoe. And then when you cross over, the elastic's at the back. And if you also make sure the elastic's slightly to the inside as well as at the back, then you can use it to tuck your ends in and keep them neat and tidy. So that was a whistle-stop tour of pads, padding, toe bits. I hope that's helpful. We're always here for you. If you need help, send us a message, book a fitting, come and see us, and we'll help you to find your perfect point shoe. Thank you. Bye.